Hello and welcome to another live broadcast of the Women's Professional Ministry Directory. We are so excited to have another women in ministry on our platform to be interviewed. My name is Kristen Thomas. I am the mentoring coordinator for the Women's Clergy Network, which is hosted at the Seventh-day Adventist Theological Seminary. And we are building a directory of women in ministry that will provide individuals the opportunity to find professionals, women that are interested and are doing ministry that you can reach out to for mentoring and networking relationships or any questions that you may have. So we are adding to our directory with Mrs. Whitsett, and I'm going to bring her onto our broadcast. Hi, Mrs. Whitsett. Thank you so much for coming
Hi.
on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's an honor to meet you, and it's very special for me having known you in my younger years, interacting with my local church, and so it's great to be able to see you. So let's dive right into our interview with the very first question, which is, what was it like answering Christ's call to ministry? What was that journey that led you into ministry, and how did you respond?
Yeah. So I guess there's a couple of answers that I could give. Just in general, my call to ministry started as a really young child. I don't know if you're familiar with the Mission Spotlight movies that they used to do on 13th Sabbath with all of the mission stories and everything. And I remember as a young child, it was an exciting Sabbath to be able to go up to the sanctuary with the big people and do our Sabbath school up there and sing songs and then watch this video. And those videos always drew me in. And at a very young age, I felt like, man, I want to go overseas. I want to change lives. I want to be involved in mission. And so I kept that in mind all through school. I remember even in high school, I was just so bored because I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a missionary. And I remember talking to my mom and saying, can I just skip high school? Can I skip academy? Because I already know what I want to do. Just let me do it.
Right.
Long story short, in college, I met my husband and he was involved in call porter ministry. Still wanted to be a missionary, but I didn't know how to get into it. There's no major in missionary or missions in undergrad, so what do you do? So I went into nursing. And while I was in college, I got involved in call porter work. My husband was the leader at the time. And that's how we met. We ended up getting married. And I fell in love with the mission of call porter work. You're just ministering to people at the door, and felt like, okay, maybe God's not calling me overseas. Maybe God is calling me to my own country. And I was okay with that. Several years later, my husband went to seminary. And while we were in seminary, we were praying, God, what is my role going to be specifically? I didn't want to be a typical pastor's wife who's typing the bulletin and planning potluck and playing the piano, right? Those are great things. And I have no problem doing that. But I wanted my ministry to be more than that. I didn't want to necessarily be preaching, but I want to be ministering to people, caring for people, changing people's lives. And as we were praying about that, we felt a distinct and very clear call into foreign missions. And so in 2002, we moved to the mission field. And have been working in Asia for the past, we worked in Asia for 16 years. We've been back in the States for 2. And I'm currently working for Global Mission. And that's the other story. How did I get involved in mission? My calling to ministry is specifically in Global Mission. And it was actually kind of by accident. When we were in Asia, my husband was called to be the director of the Center of East Asian Religions, focusing on Buddhist religions. And they said, make yourself a job description and we'll pay you. And so I did. I ended up being like his assistant. They gave me a secretary salary. Anyway, long story short, it went through a committee. I didn't even know about it. Next thing I knew, I got an email saying you're the associate director. It came with a significant pay increase and all this stuff. And so it was kind of by accident that I got into the position that I'm in. I say accident, but it really wasn't. It was God. I know it was God leading. It's definitely a God thing, but it's not something that I ever planned or dreamed or tried to make happen on my own. It's not something I pursued.
That's really special. I think for me, what stands out is this concept that from an early age, you knew that you were always drawn to missions. And that became a consistent theme throughout your life and never went away. and that God has
Right.
continued to open doors for you overseas and even here to still be able to participate in your calling to missions and to reaching people. And so that is very, very awesome that you have this burden on your heart. Many people don't necessarily have that specific niche. And so to be able to do that is I think is very great. So our next question is, how has your educational journey shaped you? So if you could go into some of the degrees that you've had, some of which have maybe been more influential in your journey than others, and sort of what that path has looked like.
So my path has been very untraditional. I did finish academy. I did go to college. But I had only an associate degree in nursing when I finished school. I had some of my classes towards my bachelor degree, but when I looked at what it was going to take for me to finish, and the fact that I was so involved in the canvassing ministry, the colporteur ministry, at the time, it didn't feel like that was what God wanted me to do, to continue pursuing nursing. So I just graduated with my associate degree. When we went overseas, my nursing background was a huge, huge help. I was able to help run a medical missionary training for the church, and there's a strong, strong church plant that has been born out of that, out of the training that I did. But also with nursing, like you learn to break down problems into bite-sized pieces, manageable pieces. And I was able to use that. We went over with Adventist Frontier Missions. And Adventist Frontier Missions at that time was encouraging the missionaries to do an ethnographic study of their people group so that we could create contextualized curriculum for those people, specific to their worldview, their beliefs and values. And I was able to lead our team through that process of doing the ethnographic study and writing the book. In fact, it's not published, but it's a big, thick book of all of the research that we did. But I think my nursing background helped with that as well, because I was able to break, here's the task. Now here are the little to-dos that we need to do. So that helped. When I was given the position of Associate Director of the Global Mission Center for East Asian Religions, a long name, I realized I needed to get a missions degree of some kind. And so I consulted with some people. I think you and some of your listeners probably know Lester Merklin and Bruce Bauer there at the seminary. And, consulted with them and a couple of others. And actually, Lester Merklin encouraged me to apply to Fuller Theological Seminary for their Master's in Global Leadership, which is a missions degree. So I did, and they accepted me on the basis of my mission experience. So I had to write like 5 papers or something to answering different questions and things. What's my philosophy of mission, and what is my personal calling to mission, and what's my experience in mission, and all of this. Long story short, I just graduated last month with my master's degree from Fuller, so I'm very excited about that. So yeah, thank you. So yeah, my educational journey has been very, like I said, non-traditional. Usually to get a master's in mission, you'd want to have a theology or religion background of some kind, and I didn't have that. But it was really gratifying for me because it validated and legitimized my mission experience. That my mission experience wasn't just I happened to have lived in Asia, but actually I had learned about mission and I understood mission. And in fact, I'm a missiologist on the basis of my experience. And so that was really confirming to me.
That's awesome.
And so in the future, I don't know what it's going to hold, but people are pushing me for a doctorate, but I need some time down so I can do reading that I want to do, not just my reading.
Sounds like there will definitely be open doors for you to pursue doctoral studies. And I appreciate that you have the hands-on experience that you can then couple with the theoretical knowledge. So you lived it, but then you can also apply it in an academic setting so that people can then learn from your experiences and take it on further through curriculum and rubrics. So that's really, really great. Yeah. So can you share with us what were some of the ministry-related positions that you've held throughout your journey in walking in your calling?
Sure. Early on, it was just being a colporteur, doing mega books. Then I became a megabook trainer and leader, and led call porter teams. From there, when we went to seminary, I was a stay-at-home mom. We had a new baby, and I worked in hospice as a nurse, and actually saw that as a mission field and used that as mission, just ministering to my patients and their families. Led Sabbath school, create a role for the kids. From there, when we went to Asia, then it was a stay-at-home mom and just supporting the ministry and the work, getting to know people in the community, learning language. When people found out that I was a nurse, they started calling me doctor for a long time. But, doing medical missionary work, leading in that, doing trainings for the church, pianist for the church, helping with potlucks for the church, the typicals, playing the piano for weddings and organizing weddings and that kind of thing. So a lot of my ministry has been more behind the scenes, nothing really up front. I think maybe the biggest ministry leadership position that I had when we were in Laos in particular was the ethnographic study that we did, leading our team through that. Now my ministry is my work, associate director. And in my position, we're mentoring and coaching and training church planters, both indigenous church planters and cross-cultural church planters, leading them through ethnographic research and helping them to kind of dissect all of the data that they get. What is the worldview? What are the beliefs? And then how do we share the gospel within that context so that they really truly understand it? And how do we make disciples that are loyal within their own context? That's a huge passion of mine.
So if there were other people who wanted to learn how to do similar ethnographic studies, are there resources available that you would be able to recommend?
Yeah, absolutely. Paul Hebert has a lot of books. He's got a great book called Transforming Worldviews, all about worldview, what it is, how it works. It was written posthumously, so I feel like there's a little bit missing in it, but it's a really good work. He has another one, Anthropological Insights for Missionaries, another excellent resource. There's others. Strauss has a good book about patterns of culture. There's books about doing field work. So, it kind of depends on what you're really interested in. Are you interested in the worldview side of it? Are you interested in the actual practice of ethnography? What are the tools and how do you do it? So there's a lot of resources available and a lot of Christian resources available too. They're specific for mission.
It sounds like a great need, especially with the global context that we seek as Christians to reach to. And so it's really, really important that this work is being done. Yeah. So our next question is, what areas of ministry do you enjoy the most?
I like helping people be successful in what they're doing. So if you're a frontline missionary, I want to make sure that you are healthy as a family. I want to make sure that you are feeling fulfilled and that you know your call, and that you are tooled and equipped to do frontline work. So that's helping you understand language learning, helping you understand, the importance of worldview and culture and how to respond to that. Training, I love training people. I love teaching. But to make people successful in what they're wanting to do, specifically related to mission.
That's awesome.
But ministry in general.
Okay. So generally, but also specifically within ministry, empowering other people as well.
Exactly.
That's great, because I think that for a lot of people, as they're sorting through the call, they know that they're called to ministry, but they may not know the steps and how and all of the intricacies that is tied along with their calling to whatever it may be. And so to be able to have people like you who are invested in that journey alongside of them is very valuable. All right, so we are coming here to a downward slope. We're almost done with our interview, but we just have a few more questions. What are your current ministry endeavors? So what are some of the projects and the ministry experiences that you're currently working on?
Right now we're working on developing, there's a lot of things. Which one first? So we're creating an ethnographic, like a course that we can, or a training that we can use, and maybe even put online for how to do ethnographic research, why to do ethnographic research, how to do it, how to analyze the data that you get, and then how to use that information to create contextualized discipleship curricula for your context. So it's a big thing that we're working on right now. Another thing is that we have a smartphone app called My 10 Disciples. It's specific for Asia, for working with people from a Buddhist influenced worldview. But we're developing that for people to use so that it's helping them to understand what are the needs at each point of discipleship as you're discipling somebody. What other projects? Lots of writing. We're trying to develop just a basic core set of curriculum, Bible studies for people from a Buddhist background. It's not going to work perfectly across the board because there's so many varieties of Buddhism, but it would be better than what is already there. That tends to be more propositional. So we're using a chronological storying method for that. So writing those. I think those are the biggest projects right now.
That's super exciting. Now, for the course that you're working to build for ethnographic research, would that be accessible for individuals who are working outside of your context and your background? For example, maybe non-believers in a postmodern age, or is your course going to be more targeted towards East Asian religions?
Yeah. Right now it's targeted towards people working in East Asia, and we're using it specifically for the projects that we are coaching. We've got projects in Russia, projects in Japan, projects throughout the Chinese diaspora. So we've got a number of projects. So we're using it and kind of beta testing it, pilot testing it with those projects. But I would like to get it to the point that it could be, self-guided study online for anybody who would be interested in learning it. I think that the principles are generic and they're overarching and they're, widely applicable. So I don't think that it's just for East Asia, but that's our context. So that would be the leading if there is one.
That makes sense. And it's good to work from where you have the most wealth of knowledge and then branch out from there. So that's super exciting. And I look forward to hearing more about the courses and the curriculum that you are going to be producing. So it was really great getting to know you. And we just want to now give you an opportunity to share your message of encouragement for those that are in various stages of their calling, maybe some who are more experienced, some who are early on. Maybe there are individuals who are interested in overseas missions. So if you could encourage those who are listening.
Sure. Yeah, I think the word of encouragement that I would share is actually from 2 Chronicles 16, verse 9. And it says, "For the eyes of the Lord run to and fro throughout the whole earth to show himself strong on behalf of those whose heart is loyal to him." My path into my career now, I couldn't have dreamed it up. I could not have planned it. I could not have orchestrated or organized it. It happened, I believe, because I was loyal to what I felt God was calling me to do. Even though it wasn't a clear pathway to a career, just being loyal to what God called me to. And I know a lot of times as women, we feel like there's a glass ceiling, there's limitations, there's certain positions we can and can't hold. But I really believe that God is just calling us to be loyal to him and to the calling that he gives us. And as we're loyal to him, he's watching, he will see, and he will lead you to a life of fulfillment, whatever that may look like career-wise for you.
Amen. 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 That is so powerful. That was definitely inspiring for me as I continue on in my journey as well. Well, we want to thank Mrs. Whitsett so much for coming on. For those that are looking to find you online, what is the best way to reach them?
Probably
for them to reach you.
Yeah, email is going to be the easiest. We also do have a website. It's cear.globalmissioncenters.org.
Great.
But email is going to be the best, and you have it up on the screen.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Mrs. Whitsett, for your time and inspiring us with your journey. blessings to you and what God is continuing to do with you. And for
Thank
those that are watching this live, we hope that you will stay on for our continuation of our directory. We will be having more live interviews coming on in the next several weeks, so please look out for those. We will now be ending our broadcast, but we hope to see you in a future live interview. Thank you so much.